You are now looking at the central nervous system of the left. This is one organization, the Chinese Progressive Group. This is 1 year of their donations, and then the subsequent donations from the entities to whom they gave money and who those entities gave money to. And as you can see, and I'm moving this around, every one of these dots is one of those organizations. So our friends at the Chinese Progressive Association are deep in here, but they gave money to these various groups, and they gave money to these groups.
Peace, Oakland. I am your host, Seneca Scott, and you are watching Gotham, Oakland, a local political news show that exposes government corruption and shows you what the dog walk local media won't dare touch. Thank you for watching. Let's get into it. So I was reviewing this video again about the Chinese Progressive Association, and I couldn't help but to think, damn, Oakland, California really is the test kitchen for low-intensity conflict. And if only the average person knew what was really going on behind the scenes and why it's so difficult to get a cohesive narrative that truly explains Oakland's sudden collapse, well, it would be a lot easier to change things. So you're in luck. Today, I'm going to learn you to pay very close attention. And if you want to see how globalist money and Chinese Communist Party adjacent nonprofits can gut a city all while cackling about equity, come to Oakland, California. We're the Michelin-star clearinghouse of civic sabotage. So this shocking video I'm about to show you lays it out with brutal clarity. The Chinese Progressive Association, a single nonprofit tucked away on Kearny Street in San Francisco, quietly fiscally sponsors more than 50,000 nonprofits nationwide, each one marching in lockstep to impose the same destructive policies on American cities. And it all started right here in the Bay Area, where they perfected their tactics before exporting them across America. Now, this isn't a scrappy band of soggy do-gooders hosting teaching about the glory days of Chairman Mao. No, it is a disciplined political machine as ruthlessly efficient as the Predator drone strike, and it's about as subtle as George Soros Venmoing you rent money. This cabal of foreign-backed nonprofits, public sector labor unions that no longer represent their own workers, and mega foundations like the California Endowment and the San Francisco Foundation have perfected the machinery of capture. They recruit, train, and mobilize thousands of well-funded organizers. Think Cat Brooks, Carol Fife, Mia Chen, Barbara Lee, and they deploy them not just here in Oakland, California, but around the country. And through a shadowy financial ecosystem, the Ties Foundation, Open Societies, and local funds like the Anti-Police Terror Project, Oakland Rising, and the Community Ready Corps, they funnel millions of dollars to ensure one outcome: total political control. And so what looks like grassroots activism is in fact a highly disciplined operation sustained by dark money and global interests, turning Oakland, California into a staging ground for low-intensity conflict. Most of their frontline troops are useful idiots, unaware of their funding sources. They genuinely believe they're helping, but as the city collapses around them, their schooling and training arms them with excuses. Late-stage capitalism, endless isms, permanent victimhood designed for one reason only: emotional blackmail and to bully you into not saying anything. Meanwhile, neighboring cities that have not been fully captured are doing far better than Oakland. And what's really happening? Illegal dumping citywide, decrepit parks, businesses fleeing, a city on the brink of bankruptcy, and a city hall that's being run like a frat house pledging Epsilon Karl Marx Omega. Oaklanders are told this is about social justice, but when you follow the money, it's not justice, it's just us getting played. The Thai Foundation gets $89 million. The Chinese Progressive Association sits on $32 million in assets. And we get another ballot measure to stave off bankruptcy while potholes are swallowing our cars, 911 barely works, senior centers are getting defunded, and our children can't even read. Low-intensity conflict isn't tanks on Broadway or Trump's National Guard or International. It is nonprofits laundering ideology like dirty laundry, public sector labor unions and nonprofits becoming the new political bosses, and elected council member Carol Fife and Mayor Blah Blah Lee smiling for photo ops while the senior center is still locked up because copper thieves stole all the wiring. So when you hear Oakland Rising or Care for a Community, don't picture a grassroots movement of neighbors lifting each other up. Picture an astroturf, well-oiled, funded-back political machine with Chinese Communist Party fingerprints all over it, laundering tax-free money to make sure our city never, ever rises, just kneels. Welcome to Gotham, Oakland. Tonight, we're following the money, the networks, and the way Oakland has become ground zero in a war most of you don't even know that you're in. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to share this episode all around your social media, even if you've posted it before. Let's expose these terrorists and show the world exactly who they are. We can do this, guys, but first, we got to lock in. On to the video.
We are fractal. Today, what we're going to show you is, for the first time for many people, what the central nervous system looks like for the left in terms of how they use interlocking organizations by the tens of thousands for electioneering and to win elections. We are the team that built the eBay fraud detection engine. We're the guys who built the TSA no-fly list based technology. We built the fraud systems for State Farm, Geico, USAA. So we have 30, 40 years of experience in solving very complex fraud problems and uncovering relationships in data that are completely invisible to current technology, which is called relational technology. Today, what we're going to show you is the dark money driving leftist electioneering. This is essentially the central nervous system for the left. These are hundreds of thousands into over 1 million organizations that are NGOs, religious affiliated organization, 501Cs, government grants, etc., all using tax-free money to impact leftist elections. So we're going to show you today the connections among these types of organizations for the first time, because we're using quantum technology, which until now has never been applied to these types of organizations and to their relationships. We're going to show you breathtaking amounts of interaction among these organizations that cannot be found with traditional technology.
But when I was at the Chinese Progressive Association for the last 15 years, we did something very similar. We built a strong team, right? We're doing the organizing, investing in leadership development and organizing in our communities. And in that time, we just created form that followed our functions, right? We were winning shit, right? Losing too, right? But we were still right. I mean, around Lennar. Anyways, moving on. But we formed C3s, C4s, PACs, and an LLC ecosystem, right? So we were able to mobilize 9,000 volunteers, but most significantly, move 1,000 people to Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, and Florida, right?
BLM leaders are closely tied to the Chinese Communist Party. The main connection is through Asians for Black Lives, which is controlled by the San Francisco-based Chinese Progressive Association, or CPA.
I've been honored and humbled to throw down with folks over the last 7 to 8 months in the name of Black Lives Matter. And I've been really humbled by our co-conspirators, Asians for Black Lives.
The CPA is the Communist Party of China's main West Coast support group. Pam Ta Lee is an Asian for Black Lives member and a CPA leader.
I'm the chairperson and the founder of the Chinese Progressive Association. That our roots start back in the 1930s, who were our mentors, and they came out of around the Depression. And there were socialists, there were communists.
Alex Tom is a founder of Asians for Black Lives and a former chief executive officer of the CPA.
There is a part of the left that has always been really curious and lifting up the role of China. So that is like the Chinese Progressive Association was one of the first organizations to even lift up the revolution in Chinatown, right? Our history basically is founded on people's friendship in China.
In 2013, Alex Tom led a delegation of American radicals to communist China.
We started to be able to have access to coming into China. So we built relationships with people in the party, activists underground, and also NGOs.
In 2016, Alex Tom and CPA official Lucia Lin produced a 300-page revolutionary manual for Asians for Black Lives and BLM activists. Alex Tom has known BLM co-founder Alicia Garza since their student activist days at UC San Diego in the late 1990s.
Actually, I think it was my friend Alicia Garza.
Alex Tom helped Garza and fellow BLM founder Patrice Coolers form ties with the Southeast Asian Freedom Network, a coalition of Laotian, Cambodian, and Vietnamese radicals. Alex Tom, Alicia Garza, Lucia Lin, and Pam Taw Lee are all members of Left Roots, a front for the pro-communist China organization Liberation Road. In 2014, after traveling to communist China with Alex Tom, Lucia Lin visited Ferguson, Missouri, with her BLM comrade, Alicia Garza. Lin and Garza met with Liberation Road communist Jamala Rogers' Organization for Black Struggle, the Liberation Road front group that organized the Ferguson riots. CPA funds Alicia Garza's far-left voter mobilization organization, Black Futures Lab.
China has had a very important role in funding left experiments.
When a communist Chinese oil company got pushback for drilling in land belonging to Ecuador's indigenous Sapara people, Pam Taw Lee helped smooth over China's public relations problems.
But there's also these other things, these loans that are being made throughout the world from China for energy. Right? And on the back here is a site that I would love for you to go to sign on in support for the Sapara people. They are watching this. They developed this letter, and we delivered it to the Chinese consulate a couple of weeks ago, which really helped them a lot.
Alex Tom is also very close to Chinese communist officials in San Francisco.
And we have a relationship with the Chinese embassy. Like, we actually have I've had to have various conversations with them about our positioning.
And shares the Communist Party of China's hatred for President Trump.
We just got to stay eyes on the prize. Now, from anti-Asian violence being documented to attacks on China and defending China, to me, the main thing is we got to get rid of Trump.
These are your marching orders. To go beyond Trump, we must stand together in our resistance.
Pam Taw Lee and Alex Tom both work closely with former CPA Chief Executive Officer Eric Marr, a longtime supporter of Communist China and Asians for Black Lives. Eric Marr is also a close ally of veteran Bay Area activist Russell Lowe, who was a former office manager for Senator Dianne Feinstein and an identified Chinese Communist Party spy.
You are now looking at the opening screen in the dark money system. Over here on the left, you can see the dates for some of the returns that we're looking at. Here we are looking.
Just checking to make sure you're still watching. Pay close attention, it's about to get good.
At the EIN or tax numbers of all of the different organizations in this particular demonstration system. You will notice in the lower left-hand corner, we're looking at 429,000 of these. Now, one of the things that you will pick up very quickly is that we don't just look at 429,000. We actually look at well over several million. But for this demonstration, we're looking at a small subset. Here we see the name of the individual groups, and here we see their address and their key officers, etc. And we're going to do that. Now, the one that you saw in the video just a moment ago was the Chinese Progressive Association. So let's type that in. When we type that in, we can see we have the Chinese Progressive Association, and we're going to scroll across, and what we're going to see are their key officers, Kimmy Lee and Wiki Chan, and you will remember that they have two locations. One of those locations is in San Francisco and the other is in Boston. You will also remember that their previous CEO was Alex Tom, and you can see him down over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll across, and we're going to look at their revenues. Now, right now, we're looking at their 2022 returns, but we have the ability to look at anything in the IRS database right up until whatever is current. But for this demonstration, we just wanted to show you something here. And you will notice that there is $19 million in revenue for this particular group. They have $32 million in assets, and they have $9 million in liabilities. They have 8 employees, and they have a number of volunteers. So one of the things that we're going to do first is take a look at who their employees might be. So when we click on that, we can see Kimmy Lee and Liu and Chang and Jiran and Kono, etc. And we can see who these people are. And if we click on them, we can actually see the other organizations they belong to. So we can see that Jiran belongs to several different organizations. So we can do that at any time. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at who does the Chinese Progressive Association fund? Who do they give money to? You will see here that they give money to 42 organizations. You will notice here in the lower left-hand corner the number 42. Let's go see who they are. One of the organizations is the Center for Empowered Politics. Now, you will remember that Mr. Tom, who was in the previous videos, is now at the Center for Empowered Politics. So this is their education fund. They fund organizations, and here's how much they fund them. Here's a very large contribution of $4.5 million, again, to their previous CEO, Center for Empowered Politics. They fund organizations, if we look here on the right side, in California, Rhode Island, Georgia, Alabama, Virginia, California, North Carolina, Alabama, Indiana, New York, California, Connecticut, Georgia, Illinois, Missouri, New York, Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina, all kinds of different organizations. And let's go look at some of those organizations. So some of those organizations, Missouri Faith Vote, Voices, New Georgia, Project, Power to the Polls. Now, Power to the Polls, we are told, is one of the organizations in Wisconsin that's a major get out the vote and voter registration type of organization. And we can see that they are partially funded by our friends at the Chinese Progressive Association. But if we scroll a little bit farther down, we're also going to see that the Tides Advocacy is also funded by the Chinese Progressive Association. Well, let's go to Tides Advocacy. When we go to Tides Advocacy, we're going to see what we saw before, that we see their officers, we see their revenues. So their revenue for 2022 was $89 million. That's $89 million of essentially tax-free money that they are able to put into various systems. Let's go see where they have made their donations. So if we look at where they have made their donations, we know that they are partially funded by our friends at the Chinese Progressive Association. And these folks have made their donations to other groups like America Votes, Alliance for Justice. So groups in Florida, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, California, New York, the District of Columbia. Now you will notice here in the lower left-hand corner, there are 179 such organizations. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see that they are widely distributed at all kinds of states. So Arizona, Georgia, the Asian Pacific Group in Pennsylvania, Miami, Black Male Voter Project, Phoenix, Chicago, Oakland, New York. More in Denver, in Washington, D.C., in DeKalb, Illinois. So we can see that they are very, very, very widely represented. So this is the Tides Foundation that you are looking at. So as we scroll down, and we can see they're in Texas and Las Vegas, they're even in Alaska. Here they are in Mississippi. Mississippi Votes Action Fund receives money from the Tides Foundation, which receives money from the Chinese Progressive Association, as we've seen earlier. Here's another one in Pennsylvania, New Voices for Reproductive Justice. And there are all kinds of these organizations in here. There's another Pennsylvania, Organized Pennsylvania. There's another one in there, Phoenix, Arizona. So as we scroll down, we can see all kinds of different organizations. Well, here's one that catches our eye, the 1630 Fund. You will notice there's $1 million given to that organization in Washington, D.C. So let's click on that. So when we go to the 1630 Fund, we can see who their officers are, but look at something else. This group spends $191 million. Let's take a look at what they spent $191 million on, connected to the Tides Foundation, who is connected to the Chinese Progressive Association. So this group made 287 donations to, again, Women Strong, 603 Forward. But let's go through here and see what states we have. Florida, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Montana, Arizona, Alaska. Seems to be a lot of interest here in Alaska. If we scroll down here, Georgia, Pennsylvania, another Pennsylvania. So we can see that there are hundreds of organizations that these folks are funding. And if we look over here, we can see that they are basically left-wing type of organizations. In many cases, they're organizations that are around to try to register voters and get out the vote group. So here's Colorado, Michigan, Texas, DC, Massachusetts. So we can see that there are just many, many, many organizations. These folks are tied to the Tides Foundation, the Tides Foundation. Here's some ones in Kansas and Minnesota. And the Tides Foundation is tied to our friends in the Chinese Progressive Association. So one of the things we've done here is we've shown you in a spreadsheet view all kinds of different things that show you the ties among these organizations. Well, let's approach that from a different perspective. So now what we're going to do is we're going to close out our friends at the Tides Advocacy, and we're going to end up back here at the Chinese Progressive Association. So now where we are is at the 42 entities of the Chinese Progressive Association. And what we're going to show you is what those connections look like. The first thing we're going to do is what's called a cluster view. It's a one-level view of the people to whom the Chinese Progressive Association gave money in 1 year. Here they are. So here we have the Chinese Progressive Association. And if you see, you can see as I hover over these others, it tells us the organizations that they gave money to. Now, because we are using fractal quantum technology, I have the ability to dig in here and I can go in very, very deep. I can even actually move this particular thing around and I can actually go into it and I can see it from all kinds of different angles. That is a one-level view of what the Chinese Progressive Association did in funding for 1 year. Now let's see what a second-level view is. They gave money to these groups gave money to other groups. What does that look like? Here we see the Chinese Progressive Association. Here, you will remember they had $19 million in 2022 revenue. We can look at any year, we can look at 24, etc. But what we're interested in here is you will remember that we are using fractal quantum technology. You could never do this with current technology. And what we're doing is we're showing you a multidimensional view of what this organization is. Now, they're giving money to all of these groups, and we looked at them before in what's called the cluster view. But now we're looking at what's called the nebula view. The nebula view shows that the Chinese progressive folks gave money to these other entities, and they also gave money to groups like our friends at Tides Advocacy. Now, you will remember Tides Advocacy gave money to all of these other groups. There's a group here that we just saw in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So all of these different groups are getting money from the Tides Foundation, which is connected to our friends at the Chinese Progressive Association. Well, the Tides Foundation also gives money to other entities, as do the Chinese. This particular one is Community Initiatives, and they give money to all kinds of organizations. They give money to these particular entities, La Cucina, Verde. These are Latin organizations, and we can see in some cases their EIN numbers that they're giving money to. They give money to Jewish Federation of North America. And these groups give money to another group of organizations. Let's see if we can find that central one, Asia Pacific Environmental Network. And they give money to all of these other organizations, Strategic Concepts in Organizing, for instance. Go back to our Chinese Progressive Association. They give money to the Southern Vision Alliance, who gives money to these various groups. And we can see their EIN numbers, Center for Participatory Change, for instance. So our Chinese friends give money to organizations like this, here to the Georgia Strategic Alliance, and then the money goes on to the Black Belt Community Foundation. And these give money to all of these other organizations, which you will remember are in all the states. So we have found these organizations tied to every state in America. And now when we look, you can see there's another major group, National Domestic Workers Alliance, and they're giving money to Brazilian Women's Group and to Braverhood Group and all of these organizations. And who are they tied to? They are tied to the Chinese Progressive Association. So what you are looking at is you are looking at how money flows. But you're going to see we have objects sitting out here, but they're not connected. Why? Because we don't simply show you the connection in terms of money. We also show you the connection in terms of any attribute. Now, that attribute might be a common employee. That attribute might be a common address. They may be in the same actual office building. So these are all the things that we can test on. What we've looked at is we looked at the cluster view, which is one level out from the Chinese Progressive Association. Then we've looked at what's called the nebula view, which is 2 levels out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at what's called the galaxy view. This is the galaxy view. You are now looking at the central nervous system of the left. This is one organization, the Chinese Progressive Group. This is 1 year of their donations, and then the subsequent donations from the entities to whom they gave money and who those entities gave money to. And as you can see, and I'm moving this around, every one of these dots is one of those organizations. So our friends at the Chinese Progressive Association are deep in here, but they gave money to these various groups, and they gave money to these groups, and you can see all of the connections here. So the connections here are massive. There are thousands of these organizations here. Now, why am I showing you this? Because one of the questions we are asked all of the time is, can you show me in my state, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Texas, can you show me in my state every entity that is receiving money from a Chinese-related organization that is tied to a communist group, as you saw in the videos? Can you show me how much? And can you show me the subsequent groups it is funding in my state? And the answer is, we can do it, and we can do it with a single click, and we can do it from your phone. Now, why are we showing you this? The reason that we're showing you this is because electoral fraud in the United States is not simply what we are able to show you with the undeliverable ballot database, where we can show you every address in your state to which a mail-in ballot is going to be sent in 2024, but the address is illegitimate. It is a convenience store, a Walmart. It is an address at which an illegal ballot, a mail-in ballot of any kind, is not allowed to be sent. but they're being sent by the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. And they are going to make the difference in many of the swing states. And we can show you those so you can stop ballots going to those swing states. Now, we've done that before with the team in Wisconsin, where they won the election for Senator Ron Johnson because they were able to stop those leftist ballots going to those addresses. You can't do that with relational technology. We showed how to do it with fractal quantum technology. Well, there's another part to look at, and that is that organizations who may be totally legal organizations may well be using Chinese money in your area for voter organizations. It would be good to know that. It would be good to publicize that. And here you can not only publicize it, you can demonstrate it graphically. We can also demonstrate in many of the states that very legal money is going into very legal organizations, but is being used for purposes which are not allowed according to that 501c's tax status. So this is the central nervous system for the left. This is one organization tied to Chinese money and to Chinese influence. This is one organization in 1 year in the United States in which they gave money to groups who gave money to other groups who gave money to third groups. And remember, we're not limited by going out 2 or 3 levels. We can go out 30 levels, but we do that with very advanced artificial intelligence because the whole screen would turn white with connections.
Hopefully your mind just as blown as mine was when I first saw that over a year ago. And if this is the first time you're seeing this video, again, please fact check everything as rigorously as possible. Now, I have a brief presentation for you. Let me add it to the stage. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here so we understand what is low intensity conflict. Low intensity conflict, sorry about that. Here we go. Low intensity conflict is the military conflict usually localized between one or more states or non-state groups, which is below the intensity of conventional war. So this is not a violent occurrence. It is usually something that the United States does all the time. In Latin America, we've done this in Middle Eastern countries where we intentionally destabilize these countries through a variety of means in order to achieve our desired result. And if you look at the guerrilla leadership, there's a political wing as well as a military wing. And what you're looking at in Oakland, California, and around the country is the political wing of the globalists who are seeking to destroy America. I'm not speaking hyperbole here. You just saw how much money is being used. Millions of organizations, many of them are unaware of what they're doing. So let's move on, because we're not unaware. This is the No Kings protest that recently happened. And I just wanted to show you that the Chinese Progressive Association, if you look to the farthest, second from the farthest right actual column, not the actual one organization, the Capacity Building Institute, you see the Chinese Progressive Association. You know who they are, you know what they stand for, and why are they all over the place in America? Now, we have other, now remember, in San Francisco on Grant Floor, 5th Street, we have these different offices. I said Geary Street, but maybe it's Grant Street. The Chinese Progressive Association, Resilient Strategies, and Center for Empowered Politics are all at that office. And then they sponsor SF Rising, Everyday People, Oakland Rising, and Bay Rising. We've done whole episodes on Oakland Rising and Bay Rising. I'm going to go through them real quick so you know where to get the source material. Let's talk about Mia. Mia Saka-Chen is Barbara Lee's chief of staff. She comes directly from Open Societies Foundation, where they work with Soros and the Tides Foundation. The Tides Foundation run by Quinn Delaney. Quinn Delaney was also on Barbara Lee's transition team. We got commies all up in City Hall. Come on, guys. Wake up. Wake up. It's just a hyperbole. We are under attack by foreign entities. I need you to lock in and pay attention. Their plan to destabilize this country And then they will build this beautiful new utopian vision for us after they've done a job destroying all of our lives and businesses. I don't know why children don't need to be able to read, but destroying education and all of the above. Very dark, very dark. Remember, Oakland side is funded by the same people. So what else do I need to cover? If you know this information, don't hide. We need to start asking the right questions to our media, and our local media, not our media, to our elected officials, and the local media will not help. So let's go through some Gotham Oakland episodes, starting from the first one. You need to watch these episodes. I want to show you just how much time I've dedicated to breaking down these nonprofit funding structures and giving you a narrative of exactly what's happening. And remember, if this is your first time watching, this is going to be a very important part. If you've been watching Gotham Oakland, if you've seen every episode, you can leave from here unless you just want to hear my charming voice. But if you're leaving now and you've already seen every episode, peace, I love you. I see you back here Wednesday. If you haven't seen every episode and you need to know what's going on, let's get into it. So here we have the Gotham Oakland YouTube page. I'm going to go through the episodes that you need to watch to learn more about what's going on with in particularly what's going on with the nonprofit industrial complex, the Chinese Progressive Association, and all of that. So you're going to want to watch this one, Meet the Awful Piedmont Billionaire Who Secretly Controls Oakland. That talks about Quinn Delaney and the Tides Foundation, and definitely watch that episode. And let's see. We've got a lot here. Okay, you're going to want to watch this one here. Queen Mayor Barbara Lee's following former Mayor Sing Tao is corrupt. Definitely watch that one. Talks about her staff that she's putting in. Our Progressives a cult. Definitely watch that one. We touched on it a little bit. Not too much of the funding, but you definitely want to watch that one. And let's see what else. We have this one here. Playing in Our Faces, Mia Saka-Chin, Oakland's Queen Mayor Barbara Lee's Chief of Staff. Definitely watch that one. That is very, very important to watch that one. If you don't watch any other one, probably watch that one. Maybe. I may change that. Okay, watch this one. Oakland's Modern Plantation. How a CCP-linked Oakland Rising is suppressing the black vote, right? Remember, we just talked about that. Watch that one. Oakland Rising, Shani Turner. Shani Turner is on the board of Anti-Police Terror Project, Community Ready Corps, one of them. She's on like multiple boards where they all spread this money around. Shani Turner is not a good person. She has worked against the black community in Oakland. She is a sellout. Run tell Shani Turner. That's why when she sees me in public, she crosses the street because she knows I give her that smoke. And then she went around telling people I was responsible for her getting beat up. Cheney somehow got beat up like a year ago, and then when I told her I was going to put out that episode, she tried to act like she's scared of me because I'm physically behind some attack of her. You see what I mean? These people are wackadoodle. They're fucking crazy. No, she's scared of me exposing that she's the freaking useful idiot and a bootlicker for China. That's what she doesn't want me to expose. Okay, I got a few more about Carol Fife, Oakland Racist Memo. Watch that one. Definitely watch that one. Let's see. We do a lot of episodes, right? I know. We don't play around in Gotham, Oakland. Watch them all. Definitely watch them all. Okay. Nonprofits in particular. There is definitely watch this one. Anything I have up about Carol Fife, you're going to want to watch that. Definitely talks about Carol Fife and her husband's grifting nonprofit. Watch this one, Piedmont Billionaires Exposed. You definitely want to watch that one. Nonprofit Wars. You definitely want to watch that one. That is the one right here. Grifting 101 with Carol Fife and Earl Harper. Okay. It goes through all of the Anti-Police Terror Project and all the money they have missing. I mean, it's really, really, really good stuff. How is it effective? You're going to want to watch that. You're going to want to watch that. So, I've been putting in work. I'm making episode after episode, letting people know what's happening in Oakland, California, so people have no excuses next time the election runs around. Because, again, the media is not going to report on any of this. How many times did Oakland Side run a story on dark money from Philip Dreyfus? Philip Dreyfus has contributed less than like $2 million to local politics. And he did that by funding 2 successful recalls. No, not peace. Make the balloons go away, man. 2 recalls. You see how much money these people are spending around acting like it's grassroots? No, that is astroturf and then some. Chinese astroturf at that, which probably gives you some kind of off poison from the gas or anything. Actually, no, let me take that back. Chinese products, I use DJI products. They're actually pretty good, but their governments are not good. And communism does not work. I don't care what these freaking widows are saying. Don't let them fool you. Now, pay close attention. Pay close attention. No more excuses, Oakland. Now you know who's funding these people. And we have a lot more to come. So we're going to be presenting a series, maybe 5 parts, maybe 7 parts, depending on how I break it down. But it's going to be titled, How to Kill an American City. And it's going to go in significant detail, not just the funding, but what are the tactics in the organization used to destroy Oakland, California, and how they've exported this product around the United States of America. Peace, Oakland. This is serious. Pay close attention. See you back here Wednesday. Love you. Take it easy.
Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here.